Sarah Jane Adventures, The Mark of the Berserker, the fourth story of Series 2, is written by Joseph Lidster and it's starring Elizabeth Sladen, Tommy Knight, Daniel Anthony, Anjali Mahindra, Yasmin Page and Alexander Armstrong. So, this is Sarah Jane Light story as Elizabeth Sladen is busy elsewhere, which is why she's got a minor role in this story. Just like Dr. Light episodes Love and Monsters, Blink, Turn Left and The Girl Who Waited, and Torchwood's Random Shoes where the main cast, except Gwen, were barely in it. So we got a nice break. So the story started with at school with 4 students in detention. One of them has a pendant. If you carry it, and especially wearing it, you can get people to do what you tell them to do. It's pretty scary. When he got Steve, the teacher, and the other 2 students' voice volume turned down, so he ran to the toilets, drops the pendant, and Ronnie picked it up. So after the title sequence, Sarah Jane dropping Luke off to Clyde's house as she's going away in the weekend, we introduced to Carla Langer, played by Jocelyn G. Easton, and I think she's outstanding. I definitely would buy That's Clyde's mum. She's got great lines. I love the chemistry with Clyde and her being funny, embarrassing Clyde. I think that's where Clyde's got bits of his jokes from. Even though the age gap of real life actors is a bit close to be a mother and son, but never mind. So when Clyde asked Luke if he wanted to play football or play on a computer games, Carla's new thing is that Friday night is Clyde's turn to cook. And I love the scene where Luke and Clyde are in bed bantering on and Carla keeps telling them off. It's pretty funny. So Ronnie wanted Chinese and used the pendant to get her dad to act like someone from EastEnders and a lion and stopped using it and got him ordered the pizza. The same lad who used it in the beginning, who's called Jacob, came by. We know Berserker's pendant is created by Berserkers, a warrior race who were the inspiration for Norse Berserkers. They visited Earth at some point. They encountered Vikings and were mistaken for human warriors wearing animal skins. So Ronnie puts it somewhere safe in the attic as Mr. Smith isn't available until Sarah Jane gets back. Next day, while Carla is poking the sausages and Ronnie spreading butter on her toast with Mika's Grace Kelly song playing, Clyde's dad Paul has arrived, played by Gary Beadle. And I think he's great as well. The moment where Paul sat down with Clyde and Carla is a depressing scene, and I think it's well written. And the acting is great. Plus I know what it's like when parents have been divorced. It happened to mine when I was a toddler, but at least they still love me and still there for me whenever they're together or not, and right back at them. Plus they're still friends in real life, which is good. We learned that Paul ran off with Carla's sister in Germany. It's been 5 years last time Clyde saw his dad. And by the way, my dad did not run off with another woman, so please don't post that comment. Like I said, relationships are tricky things. Everyone is different, no one is to blame. I still see both my parents, obviously. Paul and Clyde sit on the swings asking what Clyde does. Clyde took Paul to Sarah Jane's house into the attic to show him what he does. Understandably wanted to impress his father. So Paul took the pendant behind Clyde's back. We have an entertaining scene where Paul managed to get Harash to drop the pizza box, jogging on the spot and doing push-ups. I admit this scene is pretty funny. Obviously Ronnie came in along with Luke. She's furious that Paul took a pendant and mind-controlled her dad. So Paul, who's getting possessed by Berserker, made Clyde forget about Ronnie and Luke, and both walked off. So in part 2, Clyde and Paul walk into town, wanting to go on a trip. Meanwhile, Ronnie and Luke couldn't talk to Clyde, so they tried Sarah Jane, but she's unavailable as she's in the hospital chasing after Travis Prolong, the alien that we'll later see in The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. So instead they contacted Maria, who's in Washington DC with her dad, Alan. It's great to bring those characters back. They needed Alan to hack into the unit to find out more about the pendant and also trace the phone where Paul and Clyde are heading. So they got into Carla's car and Carla finds them. Meanwhile, we get an awesome scene where Paul and Clyde took the red car for free and new clothes. Kind of like GTA moment. Because Clyde kept going on about his mum, Paul made him forget her. So he wanted to take Clyde to travel around the world. And by the time they reached to the port for the boat, Carla, Luke, and Ronnie arrived, Clyde obviously didn't remember them, and the Berserker's pendant took Paul over like a symbiote. He's using Clyde as a soldier, but luckily Clyde still remembers Sarah Jane, so they got Paul to remember the positive side of being a father. So he got the pendant off him and become himself again. Clyde is happy that he got his both parents back, but unfortunately relationships doesn't work that way. But the reason why Paul ran off because Carla's sister is pregnant. Clyde advised him not to mess it up, so Paul left and Carla couldn't cope the fact that Clyde saves the world from aliens. So he uses the pendant to get her to forget about it, so he threw it away. At night, Clyde wanted to apologise to Sarah Jane, but she's fine with it. We also learn about her parents she doesn't remember, as they died when she was a baby, and she looks at the photos of them after Clyde left, which leads up to the temptation of Sarah Jane Smith. I really enjoyed this story, I can definitely relate to that. What did you guys think of this story? Drop your thoughts on the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and see yous in the next video.